Okay, remember when all the kids were talking about that real world scary stuff from the news? It was my family. We're the truth fairy.
First of all, don't scare me like that. I thought you had cancer or had to miss the nacho gala or something. Okay, I'm glad you were honest with me, because we're family, and that is why I am going to unhear what you just told me. We have each other's backs now, right?
I'm joined now by Jill Kargman, one of the creators and the star of Odd Mom Out on Bravo, who's having its season finale tonight. Mazel tov.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. So let's talk about the season finale. We've seen Jill Weber, your character, try to fit in with the jungle of moms on the Upper East Side. And where are we on the season finale tonight?
Well, I'm sort of in the ground zero for the Upper East Side moms. It's the benefit of their philanthropic season culminating in the Nacho Gala.
Right, not Nacho.
Nacho, New Yorkers Against Childhood Obesity.
Right. The Y is silent.
Yes, and you know, I think like many galas, they decided to do a theme to keep people interested, and they have the brainstorming session. In last week's episode of what the theme's going to be in it, they settle in on 80s prom. So we are having, in fact, a John Hughes black tie extravaganza. So everyone is going to look pretty hilarious and silly, but I think it's a really fun episode, and I think it's the culmination of a lot of the relationship tensions.
Absolutely. Now, I understand that the production of the prom actually coincided with your birthday, and we're kind of seeing a glimpse into Jill Kargman's birthday and the set of the show, correct?
You got it. I felt like I was not American because I didn't have a prom,
Right.
and it was this gaping hole in
And why didn't you have a prom?
I went to boarding school. We don't have proms. Like, they had a formal dance, but you're in the cafeteria. There's no like limos and hotels and all that stuff. So I felt like I'd missed out on this rite of passage, and I was going to rectify that for my 40th birthday. So my husband and I had an 80s prom, and because our show couldn't afford all the extras, we shot all the establishing shots, like from above, the crowd scenes dancing. That's all at my actual 40th party. So
Amazing.
there's a lot of flesh-colored yarmulkes dancing in the. It's from above, so people were concerned, like, I'm so private, I don't want to be seen. I said, don't flatter yourself. It's from like 3 floors up. It's not a big deal. But yeah, a lot of white man's overbite on that dance floor to like Depeche Mode blowout. It was awesome.
Now, let's talk about a little bit how Odd Mom Out came about and how the character of Jill Weber was developed. A little bit based on you, a younger version of...
Yes. It's really more when I was a new mom at 28 and I was way more insecure about what I perceived to be the mom scene, and I would sign up for classes with Sadie, my daughter, my 12-year-old, but when, you know, she was a newborn, and I felt like all these people had signed up together and they were all best friends and chicks and goddesses, and I would go into some of these places and I like sprouted payas the second I walked in, and I just felt that Odd Mom Out feeling. And even though I'm so past that and I really don't care, and that's part of the liberation of turning 40, those times were very lonely and kind of not a distant memory, and I really wanted to channel that and find the humor in those years.
But I feel like she fits in perfectly with the idea of a Jewish mother.
Oh, yeah.
She's loud, she loves cake, she often, she performs that of a doctor when without the license always. How is it bringing a different Jewish mom to?
Well, I like the idea of complicating my status as an odd mom out by marrying a WASP, which I did not do in real life. I'm married to a nice Jewish boy. But I felt like if you are even an odd mom out in your family and you have like a possibly anti-Semitic mother-in-law with a few little comments peppered in there, then you can't escape feelings of being odd. Whereas I have a refuge in my home, and I feel like our traditions are definitely something that makes me feel part of a community. But if you don't have that, and I'm not saying interfaith marriages have that issue, but some do. And I wanted to explore that.
Now, how did your own upbringing compare or contrast to the life that we're seeing Jill Weber lead in the show?
It was kind of similar in that I was in this very esoteric, rarefied milieu of extreme wealth in New York, but we lived in a rental. You know, my dad was successful, but
Yes.
you can be successful in New York and still feel middle class because there's just such exorbitant wealth. And I went to all the schools with these people, but they had drivers drop them off, and I took the M4 bus. You know, so I felt like I was always kind of an observer, but I wasn't in it. It was kind of one foot in, one foot out.
And now, as specific as this world that you've created on the show, it's very universal.
I'm starting to get emails from people in more rural communities who say, you know what, you might think it's worse in New York, but the truth is, in my one-horse town, there's only one school and there's one supermarket, and you run into your mother-in-law every day. It's not the anonymity that I feel lucky enough to have. So that is relatable, and even though the metric shifts from place to place of what people are competitive about, maybe it's, you know, cheerleading in Houston or something. I think it's different from community to community, but it's the same idea that people are fiercely competitive. It's human nature.
What do you think is the most surprising thing that you want people to know, either through the show or just through your own life, about the life of a New York City mom?
I hear people sometimes saying, oh, I could never raise my kids in New York City. I think it's the best place to raise kids. If you use the city. I mean, I filch all of the cultural things in, you know, and put it in my kids, and I rely on the city to help me raise my family. And I really do not feel pigeonholed to my zip code. Unfortunately, some uptown women do not cross like 57th Street. And I once said I was going downtown and someone said, you mean like Saks? And I was shocked. But we really, I mean, we go to all the boroughs. I mean, not really Staten Island, but I've been. I really feel like we use the city, and that's something I'm proud of.
So Jill, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Meredith. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm so excited to see the season finale of Odd Mom Out, and you can tune in on Bravo at 10 p.m.